Hey guys, this is Alexander from Section Sound, and today we are looking at the OLL0 X1s, which is their new flagship model mixing mastering headphone that I've had the privilege to be using for the past month, and I've probably been using them every day just to really get used to the new sound signature and see the differences in comparison to their first generation headphone, the S4X, which I've been using for the past 5 years. It's been my primary headphone for production, and I'd just like to start out by saying really happy with it, super impressed, and it's definitely my primary headphone now that I use for 90% of my work. And you can see that there's been a lot of attention to detail in terms of, them changing their design over time. The build quality has gotten better. There's a stronger leather headband now, which is really excellent. They've reinforced the metal headphone frame with this rubber part, which reduces the sound. If you rub your hands across the metal, you can hear it through the headphones. It doesn't affect the sound whatsoever. It's just like some kind of sensitivity to the make of the headphone. And in terms of the actual sound of them, there is some very subtle differences, and when we are talking about sound, subtle differences are exactly what we want. So I would say that these have a wider sound stage. I would say that the sound stage almost sits a little bit further back, and to me this overall is making it seem more balanced because the transients are less harsh in comparison to the S4X. The S4Xs, the originals, are still an amazing headphone. I've been using them the past 5 years, and I can gladly produce music in any environment, anywhere around the world, and happily mix and master it with this pair of headphones. The soundstage is a bit more centered and punchy. Which is great for listening to transients and designing, kicks and snares and things, but over time, it obviously would give you some ear fatigue. So, it's necessary to take breaks. And so with the new sound staging of these ones, which is a little bit wider and further back, it reduces ear fatigue for sure, and I would say that's one of the main benefits. But both of these headphones have a very nice sound signature, and I would 100% recommend either one for mixing or mastering. And I'm a firm believer that you need to actually learn your tool or your instrument to get the most benefit out of these. I know I've had friends who said that maybe the low end doesn't translate into larger systems as well. And I personally disagree. I think that's actually just a lack of practice using the headphones and understanding them. And when you really do put that time in, I find that the translation across the whole frequency spectrum is quite accurate. I've heard my tracks on big rigs and been very happy with how it's translated. It sounded as I hear it in my headphones, which is exactly what we're aiming for. There's nothing ruder than when you hear your own track and it doesn't really sound like your track out of the speaker anymore, right? And so I have to say that, I'm really enjoying this headphone, and it's been an excellent tool. And the main reason I love these so much is because I'm a traveler. I love moving around and moving to different countries, and so the idea for me to have a studio kind of flies out the window really fast. I can't just take a big pair of studio monitors with me and the keyboards and all of these different things that you need in your studio, right? So for me, instead of having that one studio and soundproofing it and creating the perfect sound environment where the bass is not too big in certain areas, it's quite tedious and very expensive. And so for me, the idea was always to find a pair of headphones that were neutral, that can provide the same sound environment every single time I put them on. And the advantage to that is it's portable, it's a lot cheaper, and these are the things that work for me. And mind you, I think if you're definitely going to head down this direction, you do need to practice producing on monitors first, because yes, it does take time to develop those skills to translate sound from headphones to monitors. And some people are not able to do it. They prefer one or the other. I would say become well versed in both so you can be confident in all of your productions regardless of what resources you have available. There's one more thing I wanted to go through, and that is, how do the X1s compare to something more premium, the next level or tier of headphones? And this is one of my prized possessions. It's the headphone, HEDD phone, the first generation. It's got ribbons built into it, and these, when they first came out, they were maybe like $2,000 US, maybe $2,200 US new. I don't know what they are now, but it was quite a amazing point in time. It was Head's first pair of headphones, and they are very, very premium. They're very, very large and very, very heavy also. So they're the best. Let me just start by saying they're the best pair of headphones I've ever heard. I was blown away by the sound. I didn't know that sound could be such high quality and high fidelity. And yeah, I use these for mixing and mastering a lot too. And what I'm about to say might actually surprise you a lot when I compare the X1s to them. When I produce music on the X1s and I return to these to listen to how my mix is or how the master is, I'm actually changing very, very little. And that just goes to prove how accurate the OLLOs are in the performance of their actual function. And they function incredibly well as that tool to be hearing all the details and all the microscopic changes in your mix. Because when I'm moving over to these, I'm only changing like very small elements, like a hi-hat, and I'm changing the volume by 2 dB or something very, very tiny like that. And the OLLOs are probably going to replace these, to be honest, because as I mentioned, I'm a traveler, and me carrying around these things that are actually very much more expensive, much bigger and much heavier, that doesn't work with what I'm kind of doing. I would much, much prefer to carry around this hard case with the X1 in it. Perfect, takes up way less space, and I know that I can get a perfect mix from them. So all in all, guys, would 100% recommend, and I do recommend these to all of our students at Section Sound. You can message us and we can get you a 25% discount, no problem.